Hi folks, Puffin here. You see I'm wearing the Antifa party hat because I'm celebrating a awesome conversation I saw today on YouTube. It was Lady Gaga and Dr. Bernice King, Martin Luther King's daughter. They were talking about unlearning uh, racism, unlearning white supremacy, and how white supremacy is fraught throughout our society and needs to be addressed and unlearned within yourself and within your community. If you can talk to other people in your community, just a lot of good conversation about talking about racism, about getting these conversations going with people. Lady Gaga had some great advice and examples from her own life about how to talk to different people, how to engage conversations, how to speak slowly, how to slow down and take your time with things, how to interrupt and address situations of racism and white supremacy, just in the way people talk and the way things are discussed in conversations. And she mentioned, examples from business meetings, from her life in other ways. It's a really good conversation. It's on YouTube. You can see it. Just Google Dr. King, Lady Gaga should bring it up. They're talking about the beloved community, about being part of humanity, really. It reminds me a lot of things I've been talking about in my recent book, The Gospel of Judas, which I also mentioned Lady Gaga a lot in. I mentioned her song Judas in a lot of that book, but mostly it's about a conversation that Jesus had with Judas, which is recorded in the Gospel of Judas. I'm sorry, my book is called The Book of Judas. It's based upon an actual ancient book called The Gospel of Judas. But this is also, I realized I had to write that book after writing my book last year, The Art of Betrayal by God, in which I mentioned some about Judas, but it's mostly about Black Lives Matter. It was really interesting hearing Lady Gaga talk about how she's come around to this conversation, saying that she had endless energy and power for the gay rights movement, which is super appreciated. I wonder if she felt like she'd done her work. She explains how she felt, that she didn't have the same energy or approach for the Black Lives Matter movement. Or I don't want to paraphrase or sum up what she said, because that doesn't do it justice. But just that she had more difficulty engaging with the movement than she did the gay rights movement, until she started unlearning some things and recognizing some of the effects of racism and white supremacy in her society and friends and family. It was interesting to hear her talk about two families, her artistic family and her biological family, and how within our artistic family, she feels very welcome and connected to these types of issues, or is glad to be able to have people, a diverse community that she works with artistically, to inform her of issues and give her the perspectives of different people. I was just really impressed by the conversation. Dr. King asked some great questions and made some great comments, helping the conversation along. Lady Gaga mentioned, I guess Dr. Bernice King maybe mentioned critical race theory as a controversy, and Lady Gaga brought it back up at the very end of the conversation to say, she didn't want to avoid it because she'd gotten excited about answering the question in a different direction. She's like, I don't want to avoid that topic. I want to address the topic of critical race theory, which I'm just like, Gaga, you're awesome. And she's always awesome. Before I get off that subject, she said she wanted to address critical race theory. Now, she wishes that she had critical race theory, when she was growing up as a kid. I had kind of my own, because I grew up in Georgia and got my own critical race theory from seeing the racism going on and what was wrong with it. And so she says she wished she had been exposed to that type of teaching as a kid, instead of having to learn about it later and having to unlearn things that she'd learned. And so I feel like she made a great endorsement for critical race theory. It reminded me of a segment on NPR the other day. So if I can ask you to look up two different things, look up this Lady Gaga conversation, but also look up a segment on NPR which was a show called The Takeaway, and an interview with Prudence Carter, they were talking about critical race theory and just made some great comments. So if I could ask you to look that up as well. Critical race theory and the fact that we need to be able to teach the truth to people. It's just part of education and democracy. Sorry. I was going to make a separate video about this. I'll just go ahead and throw it in here right now. that they don't really understand what they're doing. They're trying to ban certain topics in schools, which is going to backfire on them because we'll be able to teach these topics soon in the future, even if they manage to ban them for a year or two. But they're going to draw a lot more attention and conversation and discussion about this, which people are going to do on YouTube. And people don't learn stuff in school as much as they learn things on YouTube and on the internet these days. So that's where people are going to actually get the information. Now, to Gaga's message and comments, just watch it. I guess I don't want to sum it all up, but there was something else I did want to mention that just seemed awesome and important. Yeah, she talked about singing the national anthem at the Capitol and how they asked her if she wanted to see the Capitol. And she said no, because she didn't want to see the destruction. And then she said, no, you have to face it. She said she didn't want to see the Capitol. And when she thought about why she said no, when they asked if she wanted a tour, she was like, I didn't want to face the Trumpsurrectionists' aftermath. I didn't want to see that. But then she changed her mind and said, no, I do want to see it. Thanks, I'm sorry, can you take me to see the Capitol after all? And she said she went to look for evidence of and they said they cleaned it up for the most part, but she found a broken glass window. And she reflected in that broken glass window about white supremacy and how we need to get rid of it. The one thing I would disagree with Lady Gaga on, and she's my goddess, so I'm not supposed to disagree with her, right? But you can disagree. People evolve. Goddesses evolve. She's talking about her own evolution through learning that she did have to recognize some things she had to unlearn. But if I can disagree with one thing that she says in this interview, she says it's not about Trump, it's about white supremacy. Well, Trump is pretty equals white supremacy. I mean, hate to break it to you, but it's about both. It is about both. And there's just no letting these people off the hook for it. Now, there is trying to reform and redeem them. I personally made QAnon Anonymous, see my QAnon Anonymous videos, for trying to help them out and redeem them. And I say in my book, the Book of Judas, or in The Art of Betrayal by God, I try to make an offer to these people and try to show some understanding. Yes, you were misled, but you were misled by the devil. You were misled by like Putin and this huge agency, the KGB and Trump and all this media stuff. You were misled by, and the devil behind that, the greatest deceiver of all. You were misled by the devil. So you're misled by the best deceiver. But feel good to know that you were misled by the best, and people still want you to come back to humanity and be part of humanity again. We do want to reform the Republicans and Trumpers and stuff, as much as they make say nasty comments because to respond to their nasty comments on the internet and stuff. We do want to reform them. We want to shock them out of those ways of being. And nasty comments probably aren't the best way to be it, but hopefully best way to do it. But hopefully a video like this will help, or the video like Lady Gaga's speaking with Dr. King would help, because it was a great talk. So I hope you'll watch that and just leave comments, get involved. I'm pleased to say that my comments are there on the video still. They didn't erase my comments, but nobody else's comments were there. I don't know if that means people have given up on YouTube because there's so many trolls there, because I'm always replying to trolls' comments or Trumpers' comments, and my comments get deleted, and their terribly offensive stuff gets left there, which I'm like, this isn't fair. But at least on this channel, my comments are still there. At least I could see them. But I didn't see anybody else's comments. So I do want to see other people commenting and supporting either, on this video, but on these videos I'm talking about as well. And keep this conversation going and open these conversations in your own life with people just because it's time to change all this stuff. It's time to take the system down. One of the last things I'll say, because one of the last things that Dr. King asked Lady Gaga was, are we going to end white supremacy in our lifetime? And there was some hesitancy, or the knowledge none of us know how long we're going to live. Hopefully a really long time. But let's go ahead and end it sooner than that so we can enjoy life without white supremacy for everyone. Let's end it this year. My goal is let's end it this year. Now, I'm from Oz. I'm from the future. In the future, we have no money. We have no war. That is the future. When are we getting there? Will you get to keep money around for fun a little while after we get rid of war? Well, let's just get rid of war. And if you don't let us do it easily, we'll get rid of war and money at the same time. But we can get rid of war, white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism. We can get rid of all these evils. The last thing Dr. King said was, my daddy said there were 3 great evils: poverty, racism, and militarism, rampant militarism. We can change all those at once. We can shift the priority from the military to helping people, which will help everybody around the world, and set a new example for how to do things. And that'll do it. That's in my book, The Gospel of Judas. So hopefully you like that, and hopefully you like this conversation. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bless you.